These are the supplies that you're gonna need for today's project. You'll need a scissors, a glue bottle, some crayons, and some paper. I need a white sheet of paper, a black sheet of paper, or you could use a really dark blue sheet, that'd be fine too. Maybe some green, and maybe just a tiny bit of orange. If you want to grab an entire stack of construction paper and keep it nearby, you can do that. Or you can look in the recycle bin and see what kind of printed paper you might have laying around that could be reused. In this piece, I have some red, I have some yellow, there's a little bit of orange, and some blue. I have lots of colors that I can use. Or if you don't have that different kinds of construction paper, you can always use crayons or find different things out and about that might give you the color you want. For example, we're going to be making a snowy, wintry scene with a snowman. So maybe instead of having an orange crayon, I don't have an orange crayon here, maybe instead I want to go outside and find some tiny sticks to use for his nose or for his arms coming off of my snowman's body. Think about what you have and how you can make it work for your art. Go get your supplies and I'll meet you right back here. So today we are going to be talking about foreground, middle ground, and background. Foreground are the things that are in the front, the things that are closest to us when we look at the picture. Things in the middle ground are not as close as the things in the front, but not super far away. And the background, those are the things that are the farthest away from us. So in this picture, looking at these fun snowmen, the ones in the foreground are these two larger snowmen. They look larger because they're so close to us. Can anyone tell me why these look so small? Are they really tiny little snowmen? No, the answer is because they're so far away, they look small. If you look at something that's far away from you, you'll notice it's smaller. But if you look up at something really close to you, it looks the right size. So we're going to be working on making some snowmen in our foreground. So we're going to use a white sheet of paper. So I'm going to be turning my paper vertically so that I can cut across it. I'm going to need a scissors. And when I use my scissors, I always put my thumbs up to the ceiling. Thumbs up for happy scissors. And I'm going to be using big alligator chomps with my scissors. So I'm going to open it wide and crunch. I don't want to use my little fishy chomps like this. I want to use big alligator chomps when I cut. So I'm going to hold my paper in my helper hand. And on one end of the paper, not in the middle, but on one end of the paper, not super close to the edge, maybe about as far as my thumb is coming in, I'm going to cut a wavy, snowy line all the way up. Okay, so it doesn't need to be straight. In fact, it'll look more fun if it's not straight. I'm going to cut my wiggly, wavy line all the way up. So I kind of have like a little river pathway in between my two pieces of paper. I'm going to set my scissors off to the side, and I'm going to set my smaller piece of paper off to the side as well. My next step is I'm going to be collecting some things that I can use to trace to make a snowman. So here I have a bowl, and I have a cup. This is a paint cup. And I have a rock. So I found some things that are round, and I was looking for one that's a little bit bigger, one that's a medium size, and a smaller one. So after you find something that you can use to trace a snowman, we're going to be putting them on our extra white piece of paper and tracing with a pencil. Now what I'm going to do with my pencil is I'm going to flip this guy over. It'll be easier to trace if this flat edge is touching my paper. And I'm going to give myself a little room here. And I'm going to hold my pencil very straight and tall, like a tall soldier is walking. As if I hold my pencil like this, like I do when I'm drawing, Then sometimes my pencil can slip underneath the thing that I'm tracing. Especially I'm worried about that happening when I'm doing my rock, because my rock kind of has a little bit of a curved edge on it. So I have to make sure I hold my pencil straight and tall. I'm going to hold it with one hand, straight, tall soldier pencil, and I'm going to trace all the way around. Straight, tall soldier pencil. There, now I'm done with that, and I'm going to do my next one. I'm going to give myself a little bit of space in between so I have room to cut. Holding it down with my helper hand, straight, tall soldier, going all the way around. There. And see how that one's a little bit smaller than this one? That'll work well for a snowman. And here's my smallest snowball. Now this isn't exactly perfectly round, but that's okay. Because if I were making a snowman out in the snow, he wouldn't be perfectly round either. Straight, tall, like a soldier when I'm tracing, because I don't want it to slip underneath there. There. Now I have my 3 circles down. It's kind of an oval. But now I have my 3, and I'm going to use my scissors to cut them out. Now that I have my 3 circles cut out, I'm going to move this paper over to the side, so I might think of an idea to use with this later. And I'm going to take my 3 circles and the strip of paper that I cut out earlier, and now I get to build my snowman. So this snow and this snowman is going to be in the foreground of our picture. That means it's going to be the closest thing to us. Just like in this picture, the closest thing to us is this silly snowman who has a pickle nose. These other snowmen are about the same size as this one, but because they're far away, they look smaller. Just like these cars parked in the road. See how little this one is? But this one's a lot closer, so it looks larger. So we're working in the foreground right now. So now we need something for our background. There's a couple different things you can do, and you have to decide what you like. I could take a black sheet of paper, and I could put my snow ground if I line up my edges, my corners. I can make it look like there's a snowy ground. I can take my snowballs. Do you see my little bit of pencil line right there? I see them too. So instead of taking the time to erase, I'm just gonna flip my snowballs over, and I'm gonna hide those pencil lines. There, now I can make my snowman right there on my paper. And he looks really big because he's coming all the way up to the top of the paper. If I were to make a smaller one, he would look like he was farther away. But just having a white snowman on a black background is a little bit boring. I know I can add some fun things. So here's some different ideas for you. So I took a white crayon and I drew some stars, some circles, and a moon in the sky. I'll see what I think of that. That'll make it a little more interesting. There's my snowman. No big deal if I cover up some of the background. And I can always move my snowman around and see how I like him. That looks pretty fun, but I think I might want to add something in my middle ground. Middle ground on something like this would be the snowmen here in the middle and some of the cars that are closer to us. Background things are way back here, pretty far away. So I think what I might want to add for my middle ground, maybe I'll take a piece of green construction paper and maybe I'll make some trees, maybe some evergreen trees. And I can make them in all different shapes and sizes so that some are in the middle ground, some are in the background, some are even in the foreground. I'm going to take my piece of paper and fold it because I want my evergreen trees to be symmetrical. So I'm going to fold it about as wide as I want it. That might even be too big, but we'll try it. And after the fold, I'm going to take my scissors and cut. There. I can save this green piece of paper for later. Oops, my snowman did fall off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the fold in my hand. always want to hold the fold when I want to cut something symmetrical. My first step is that I'm going to cut a triangle. So I'm going to start from the corner and cut up to my paper. If you don't want yours to be that tall, just cut it a little bit shorter. Watching out for our fingers, I'm going to cut a triangle. Now don't throw this away because we can use this too. So here I have my triangle. That is a very big tree. So I think what I want to do is I want to come a little bit in from the corner so he's not so wide. There. That's a little bit better. But while a tree triangle is fun, I can do more if I want. If I fold it back up, I can do some little fish kiss snips to make this look like the spiky edges of an evergreen tree. So I'm going to come up from the corner at an angle, snip, then I'm going to come straight horizontal, same as the bottom, snip, and I'm cutting out little triangles, aren't I? So I come from the corner at an angle, snip, and straight lining up with the bottom of my paper. They call that parallel when two things are lining up straight together like railroad tracks. Or parallel. Snip from the corner, snip from the corner, and straight. Snip from the corner, straight horizontal. And if yours aren't perfectly straight, that's okay. It'll still look like a Christmas tree or an evergreen tree. And trees are all different. They're out in nature, so they shouldn't look perfect. And they shouldn't look exactly alike. I keep cutting my little tree here until I get near the top. And I want to make sure that I don't accidentally cut off the top of the tree. But if you do, like that, no big deal. It just means your tree will be a little bit shorter. There, now I have some fun zigzag edges. So I can put my tree in my picture. One thing I do want though, is I want to make sure that the bottom of my tree looks like it's sitting in the snow. So maybe I want to cut a little bit of a wavy edge on the bottom of my tree. There, now it looks like it's sunk into the snow a little bit. I can also take some of these little pieces if I want, and I could put some glue on and add them onto my tree, and it'll make my tree look even more three-dimensional. Let's try that. And I'm using my glue bottle to open the cap. I twist just the orange part. If I twist the white part too, the whole cap comes off and blob, I have a big mess of glue. So I'm only going to twist the orange part open until I don't see that little white ball at the top anymore, and there's a little bit of space in between the orange cap and the white cap. Now I can take my tiny little green triangles, and if I just put a drop of glue on the end, probably the bigger end would be good. I'm going to hold it there with my finger and count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now when I let it go, I created another set of leaves or pine needles. If I have some that are shaped like this, I can still use those, or I could cut them in half to make them smaller. Just depends on what you like. So I'm going to put another little drop of glue, not too much. Whoops, he wanted to go right there, didn't he? So I'm going to press it right there, and I'm going to hold up the edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it's not sticking out enough, you can just bend them up. That way you'll have some branches coming out of the paper, and it'll make your work of art three-dimensional. So there's my Christmas tree that I made a little bit more three-dimensional. If you don't like that, you don't have to do it on yours. This is your art project. Maybe you can use this technique on something else. But if you do like it, give it a try. So I haven't glued any of my pieces down yet, except for my little ones here on my tree, because I might want to be able to move my snowman and my tree around. Or if I look at this and I'm like, I really don't like that, I wish I hadn't done it, look what you can do. Just flip it over and use the back. Now I think I might make one more smaller tree out of my scraps that I have left over. and put that way far away to really show that I know what foreground, middle ground, and background is. So I'm going to hold my hand on the crease, cut my triangle, open it to see if I like the size. So if you remember the next steps, I'm going to do diagonal snip, little snips, but my thumb is still up in the air, pointed up to the ceiling, thumbs up for scissors. Little snip and parallel. Little snip and parallel. Little snip, parallel. Diagonal, parallel. Oh, I'm getting all these little guys all over. Diagonal, parallel. Diagonal, parallel. And I think I want my tree to stop there, so I'm going to cut a new diagonal line and snip off the top. There. Now I got to get rid of all these little tiny guys. All these triangles that I made. Okay, so here's my little tree. And he definitely looks like he's farther away than the other tree. I can even overlap them if I like. I have to arrange them however I like it to be. But like I cut on the other one, I think I want to cut a little bit of a wavy line so it looks like he's sunken in a snow pile. Just a little bit of a wavy line there. If I want to use these tiny little pieces to add some three-dimensional pieces onto my little tree, I can do that as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend some time arranging mine to see how I like them. Just make sure that you show everyone that this tree is farther away. And there's a couple ways you can do that. You can either put it behind something else, could even be behind your snowman a little bit because it's farther away, or by simply putting it up higher in the snow. Because if this is farther away, I would see more snow in between me and the tree, versus if this is close to me, I'm not going to see as much snow on the ground. If I move this back up and this here, do you see how that makes it look like this is just a teeny tiny tree that's close to me? And that tree looks enormous, even though it's farther away. So the things that are closer to you come closer to the bottom of the paper. So I'm going to put that one about in the middle, and this one's going to go way in the background. And I think I might want to overlap that a little bit. I kind of liked how that looked. Okay, then I might tidy up my snowman a little bit here. And I think I like what I have. Now, the cool thing about artwork is there's always more you can do. There's always more you can add. There's always new ideas to make it special and make it however you want it to be. You could put a hat on your snowman, and your hat could even come up off of the paper if you wanted to. Or maybe he's not wearing a regular snowman hat. If you look at our Snowman at Night book, you'll notice that they all have different kinds of hats, which is really fun. So maybe yours has a different type of hat. Maybe yours has a scarf. Maybe he has a pickle nose instead of a carrot. All different things that you can make and design. This is your artwork, and you have to love it. You could also use some of your leftover white paper if you wanted to put some snow on the trees. You could do that. If you wanted to use your glue and draw some snow on the branches of your trees, you could sprinkle it with sugar to make it look like sparkly snow, or glitter if you have some. All different ways to make your work special. You could put some dots in the sky to look like twinkling stars and sprinkle them with sugar. You could even use your leftover piece of paper here, if you have enough left. I'm just going to cut these circle parts off. Oops, sorry, snowman. I'll put you back together in a second. And I think I might want to do another layer of snowy hills. So I can put this one behind this other one. So now I have a foreground, I have a middle ground, and then my sky would be my background. I could even tuck my tree underneath a snowbank here if I wanted. And maybe my other tree is sitting back there. And maybe my snowman's in front. All different ways that I can do this. And I can use all the things that I have. Maybe you want to make a whole forest of trees. It's up to you, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.